Okay, so during this whole time, right, so from 09 to 15, you're pregnant now, did things get worse or better in regards to your relationship at home? Because from what you're saying, things got worse,
yeah,
but
then got
he
better.
didn't.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Things got worse, and then they kind of looked like they were getting better, I feel like, because for me, one thing is he just needed to grow up. And what I wish I'd seen is that he needed a partner but didn't necessarily need a mother. So I feel like what my role was is that I was the second mum. I look back now and go, you needed someone to straighten you out. Your mum should have fucking straightened you out, not me. You know, so, and then there was elements that, you know, I think that's where my parents give me that perspective, is they go...
Oh, pull this across.
Like that?
Because you're moving.
Yeah, sorry.
So, no, that's all right.
The wogging me.
I know you're animated, but, like, yeah. I'm just trying to capture everything, that's all.
No, I know.
Go.
I think my parents also started to believe the bullshit to a degree, because he was trying to sell something about what he was. He's, you know, starting to work a lot harder, and he's taking on second jobs, and, you know, he's starting to emulate kind of the things that we wanted to see in him. And then all of a sudden the kids, you know, the hope of, you know, building that future and all that sort of shit, and we, you know, being for 5 years, fucking 2-bedroom unit, making that work. Renovating, and yeah, we were renovating at the same time I was sick as well. That was tough. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know. It was just mental. He's that type of person that if something gets in his head, he can't drift and dissipate from it for the sake or betterment of others. He's got to do it anyway. And he's driven, like his drive can be good if it's used in the right context. And if I had seen that, and if I was well enough to perhaps have seen that for its full effect, you know, the gamut of it, I probably could have redirected it in a different way. But I can't, you know, I'm trying to deal with fucking me here, not him.
Yeah,
so you can see the degree of why so much separation, 10 years, you know, that I've gone from having all these friends. Like I was like you, I dragged people together that people didn't know each other. You know, people I went to uni with, people who, you know, I knows that, you know, she knew through my other friends. I still know, and I'm still kind of somewhat connected to, not as close, but still connected to in some ways. I've gone from having like fucking maybe 100, you know, given different friends. Obviously, I don't want that now in my life. It's too fucking hectic. But, you know, maybe not 100. That's a bit exaggerated. But I'll say 50 friends, you know, people I could call friends, you know, genuine friends. To now, I'd say I've got like a handful.
Yeah, which is where we all end up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of the journey, is I wish he had realised that was going to happen to him, because his mentality was like, I want to do everything and I want to be everything and I want to tick all these boxes. Fuck the boxes, mate. I wish I could go back and go, I don't give a fuck about the boxes anymore. The boxes are the chains that pull us down and weigh us down and create half the problems. Like some of them are necessary, but, you know, I look at things and go, fuck, I don't care about this crap. I don't care where I buy this fucking crap from or what I look like or what people think of me. Fuck, I don't care.
Boxes are different for everyone.
Yeah, that's it.
There are some boxes which are, like, you know, they're commonplace and everyone sort of aspires to, but not everyone's boxes are going to be the same because not everyone can get put in a box. No.
So I think the person I thought I was at 09 was sharing the same boxes as him. And then the person I was at 2017 then vastly shifted. I've become a mum. My whole life was about me and him. And then, you know, obviously my whole life, but, you know, that part of that journey was that then before that was just me and my family. I never really got to have my own individual box for very long. I had a small window of that when I went from being with my ex-partner for 3 years. You know, I was young when I met him, 19, and we were together for 3 years and he wanted to buy a house. So then, you know, and we bought a block of land together and I was like, hang on, dude, you're fucking going too fast here and you want to control the narrative. So I think there's a pattern here, right? There's a pattern of controlling people who, like, was outward. I could see, like, I was like, fuck this shit, no, because he will control the narrative. He was even trying to control the way I was using my money, you know, to the point it was like, oh, we can't do that. Oh, why would we want to go out for? You know, and I know that that was part of his story as well, and I still respect the story where he's come from, but why is it I could so clearly see that that person wasn't right for me, but then it was, yeah, and I think it's because I didn't give myself that big enough of a box to go, this is just me finding myself, and I rushed into it.
Grab this.
Yep.
Pull it down.
Yep.
There you go.
Better. Yeah, I can hear it now. But I think I rushed into it. And maybe that's because I had a lot of self-doubt deep down around whether I felt good enough as a person for anybody.
Okay.
So I just went.
All right. So you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Obviously there's teething period.
Yep.
Becoming a mum and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
What year are we in? 2017.
Yeah.
Okay. So then at what point did things, I'm assuming, went from bad to worse?
Yeah.
At that point, you were being manipulated emotionally and monetarily?
More emotionally, I reckon.
On what scale? I'm trying to understand, because see, right now, it's sort of like you said it started like shit.
Yes.
But then it got better.
Better.
Because he started working more and started portraying more of an image of who it was that he was meant to be or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Or the idea of who you thought he was.
Yeah.
So then at what point did it get worse?
I mean, it was hard. Like he was great with the kids. So I had an emergency C-section. Things didn't go to whatever plan.
No, that's...
They don't. I actually never had a plan. I never sat there and go, I'm going to have a natural birth. Everything's going to be great. You know, the doctors talked to me about reversing the fibro by, you know, basically getting my body up to this penultimate level of pain and that would fuck off. So I was like, in my back of my mind, I'm like, that would be great and ideal. But the reality of that with a twin high-risk pregnancy, I mean, fuck, I got to see my kids on, you know, sonograms and fucking ultrasounds more than most people get to do, you know, with having 3-4 fucking kids. You know, 3-4 individual pregnancies. I got to see them way more. Yeah, ongoing hospital appointments. He was there for everything. He never missed a thing.
I've got a number of friends that have had complicated pregnancies and births. And when I've spoken to like the mothers, you know, and they're talking about feelings of like how they felt, like, you know, having emergency Cs and all that sort of stuff and didn't go to plan and this and that. I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Nothing goes to, you can't cook a ziti and, you know, have it go to plan. I can't make pancakes.
Yeah.
And I've done it before 1,000 times. I go, who gives a shit? You want to get a birthright?
Exactly.
However it happens, it happens.
They came out and they were healthy.
They come out, they're breathing, they're healthy. That's a fucking win. I go, don't worry about how it got there.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When
I hear these mums talk about their experiences, I'm like, oh, just fucking, baby came out.
Baby came out.
You're fine. That's the best scenario you could have.
Those are my first questions. When a mate has a kid, I say, oh, when? You know, how?
Yeah.
Oh, mum all right? Yeah. Sweet. Baby's cool? Yeah, how you doing? You good? Yeah, good. Sweet. Send me some photos.
Yeah,
you know?
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
So when I reference a C-section, I don't sit there and go, oh, but Javon, I had a C-section. I don't give a fuck. Like, to me, it was more the difference between how I was during the pregnancy versus after.
Yeah.
So pregnant, I'm fucking traveling through Europe, puking my guts out. Like, literally, I think the way to Malta, I counted, I vomited 19 times. The way back was about 20. To the point that I was trying to fall asleep.
Hey, look, there's another temple.
First 5-10 minutes of the flight, trying to fall asleep, and he's got his headphones in, and he's me going, "Arr!" And they're like, all right, mate, you need to step in. Look, he was great in those moments. I'm not going to say everything about him was bad, because that wasn't the case. And I had a really good pregnancy, you know, walking the dog still, you know, it was like nice and hilly. So, you know, I was still doing that till about fucking 28 weeks. And I think part of my fibro and my journey with that, I was on drugs and then off them. So I was on Lyrica, which was fucked up. I hated that shit. And obviously then I had, you know, bouts of endone and all that other yucky stuff I hated. And then getting off that to have the kids, I had to figure out a way. How am I going to deal with this pain with no help whatsoever? Not even fucking Nurofen, all that sort of shit, just fucking clean. How do I do it out? Started with my mentality. So, yeah, again, just positive mindset, trying to start to really work on, you know, my physical health to try and connect that, you know, emotional sort of health to a degree. I'm much better at that now than I was back then even still. So it's been an ongoing journey. But, yeah, trying to manage that level of pain and pushing through to about 28 weeks, and then I got the Braxton Hicks and I'm getting fucking massive. So I'll show you photos later. It's hilarious. I was very, there was nothing of me down here, and it was just all baby. It was really all baby. It was really an amazing experience, actually. So, yeah, towards the end, we're still renovating a house. It's insane. Still trying to get everything ready for the baby. And I'm like, dude, I just want to fucking nest. And here's me going back to live with my parents for a little while because I couldn't be in the house. I had to shower. I couldn't bath. You know, so it's funny. I was there yesterday. Oh, fuck, I was in this little bath trying to, you know, do fucking shit and go, oh, this is weird. So weird. Yeah, and then let's go. Sorry, lost track of thought.
Babies are out.
Yeah, babies are out. And then my body starts going fucking nuts. Like 6 weeks recovery. I've got his mum every day around. My mum coming to help him whenever she couldn't. She doesn't drive, still doesn't drive, will never drive. So there was challenges with that. And then there'd be moments where I'd be like, just send mum home. Would you like to take her home? He'd like, just get her to get a fucking Uber. And I was like, dude, just my mum. Then fucking chuck her in an Uber. And we had, brief arguments about that. But I don't have time to focus on that and the experience my mum was having. I was too busy fucking looking after 2 babies. One had colic, one had silent reflux. It was a fucking shit show. So, he always wanted to come across as the dad that was really hands-on. And yes, he is. Don't get me wrong. He was fantastic. But it was like a badge of honour for him because I'm not like every other dad. So there was that element of kind of over my head going, just remember what you've got here sort of thing. But it's subtle. So not necessarily everyone else could tell, but I knew how I was feeling about that response. It's like, dude, when I'm sitting here in bed because I literally can't get up post 6 weeks and everyone's fucked off and here I am on my own, I'm sleep deprived, I don't have much company fucking in Sydney doing her own thing, figuring out her own person. I didn't have my best mate who I needed at that time, who, I know she was here, she would have supported me in a heartbeat, but she wasn't there. That's fine. I don't, there's no thing about that.
Yeah.
But I was alone a lot. And it wasn't too bad because I think in the first year and a half, he realised he had to be really hands-on. And he had to be around, but I think it really shifted the life that he had, as in he got to do whatever the fuck he kind of wanted, when he wanted. And I liked that part of him as well because it meant I could do that as well. So pre-kids, I could go to shop over for a few hours and, do whatever the fuck I wanted. Whereas shop, have something to eat, hang out with a friend, be by myself. I love my own company. So it didn't fucking bother me, to be honest, to have that separation.
I'm really proud of my friends who have kids yet still maintain some form of social life, some form of personal interest and shit like that.
I struggled with that.
As WOGs, we didn't see that.
No.
Right?
No.
It's very, very rare.
My mum still doesn't do that. My dad still doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Their joy used to be in their gardening. Now they're working themselves so fucking hard down to the ground that, the only thing that they're really getting to enjoy is a nice meal on a Sunday with the kids and me.
Yeah.
And that's not enough.
I hate the people that have kids and then think they're just another accessory that'll just fit seamlessly into their lives. It's like, dude.
And that's sort of what happened. So, and I think then started to be able to do that self-care stuff and wanted me to start doing it as well. But then I had that guilt associated with leaving my kids.
Yeah.
And, there's attachment sort of issues and, what if this goes wrong and da-da-da. And then, people started to get in my head going, well, how about you get back to work again? So that's how I fell into it. Because the principal there, long story, if you go look at what's happened for the last few years, you figure out where I fit in.
Okay.
But yeah, kids were allowed to teach for about 4 or 5 weeks. Year 11, year 12 classes, about 4 of them. It was intense. Teacher chucks on the Facebook page, VC accounting. I'm desperate for a teacher. I'll consider someone who's on mat leave, da-da-da. And within, he was away for work. He was travelling a lot at that time too. So when he was away, his mum would be filling in. So where the fuck's my chance to have any me time? It didn't exist. It was his work or, me trying to navigate his timetables. So I was very isolated.
Yeah.
And can you imagine how hard it is to go out with 2 kids?
Yeah. I can.
Yeah.
I'm a twin. Yeah.
It's still hard.
I just picture my mum.
Yeah. It's still hard.
Yeah.
It's not as hard at 5.5 as what it was, 0 to, let's call it 2 years of age. But, you sit there and go, I've got to worry about their routines. Do I really want to take them to childcare? You have all these fears and doubts. And I was like, just do it, you'll be fine. I'm like, but you listening to what I'm feeling? Not really. So I'm not going to say necessarily, and his mum contributed to pushing me. I wanted to move out of it. It was getting toxic. It was a really bad environment. Principals coming in trying to make it look like fucking, private school. And I didn't agree with his vision. I was coordinating as an EAL coordinator at the time. And he's like, just make shit work, but didn't give me any money. I was like, dude, you're bringing enrollments in, you're getting more money and you're not putting it in the places it needs to be. And 1/3 of your population is EAL. Fuck you. I'm not doing this. This doesn't fit in my ethics. I want to help, but I want to help under the right circumstances. So I went, fuck this. I jumped. So I knew I didn't want to go back to. So I think this was the kind of partial, let's push her in. I think it's going to be good for her. And so obviously I found a different identity having worked there. And I am grateful for the fact that I didn't just sort of recognise myself as a mum. So I became mum, teacher, obviously friend to people who I developed really close, beautiful connections with, who I still call friends, I still catch up with now, which is fantastic, even though I don't work there anymore. And even the kids that I taught, some of them are still messaging me every now and again, hey, miss, let's catch up. And it's kids who had really close, good connections together and were good friends as groups. And then there's others that branched out and they didn't give a fuck. They're like, we still want you in our lives and you still played a significant role to who we are and we still want you to continue on that journey.
Yeah.
So that's a part of high school I love. So that's part of my identity I was fueling, right? But that other part, the friend, the confidant, wasn't right there yet, So I think it really started to get worse, not so much 2017, 2018, 2019. So we go by a house to be in between his parents and my parents. Sounds fucked up. Had this radius. He's like, this is us, and this is where your parents are going to be, and this is where my parents. It was more directed at my parents. So I want to be like a 25 to 30K radius away from everybody because I want my space. I want fucking people knocking on my door going, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's the buffer zone.
Yeah. I thought it was ridiculous, but I didn't pander to it. I've got too much shit going on. I'm trying to deal with teaching classes, my kids being sick all the fucking time, having to navigate all of that stuff. I need to stop moving my hands.
It's never going to happen.
No, it's not. It's navigating all that stuff at the same time as, just fucking trying to breathe. So, again, no wonder I just fucking disconnected from everyone. Life is nuts. For 2019, we move by a nice big house, block of land, space for the kids to run around when they get older. And that's when it all, so in 2019, 2020 starts to unravel. We have some issues with the settlement and then we eventually get the keys. And then all of a sudden his mum, particularly his mum and him pushing to have Christmas Day at the house. I'm like, fuck, man. I haven't even walked in here for 5 minutes and breathed and figured out what I'm doing with this space. And all of a sudden we're hosting 30 people. My parents and brother are at Malta at the time, so they're off doing their own fucking thing. And, they weren't there to be like, oh, well, let's black up here. This is fucking insane. You're dealing with 2-year-olds trying to move them from one house to the next. If you know anything about kids and moving them environments, that's already stressful in itself. So we move into the house the day before Christmas Day, host Christmas with 30 people.
How?
Because everybody else was just going, we're going to make it happen. So obviously his mum's a great cook.
Yeah,
she gets the
you still
food
had all
on.
your shit in boxes.
Yeah, correct, exactly. and even his uncle's wife, so his aunt, turns around to me and goes, never fucking do this again. She's like, I've pandered, I've seen everybody else pandering to each other within this side of the family all their fucking lives. And she goes, never ever do this again. She goes, I cannot believe that between the both of them, she could see it, that they've managed to coax you into doing this bullshit. And she's one of the people actually who reached out after she found out we were separated. And I don't know if she knows the full details. That's another story in itself. But she was like, I want to catch up. And I know it's not to sit there and find out all the gossip. She probably already knows it. It's checking in with you. She's
Wants to see how you are.
Genuine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought, fuck, kudos to you for actually doing that. She had the balls to fucking go, hey, let's do something. On your terms when you're ready. And that's when it really started to get bad to worse. So we were settling in. I'm still commuting. Kids now at a different childcare, so we're dealing with all that change. And then he starts to get more and more selfish. And more frequently. Now, obviously, I'm still struggling with the fact that I can't separate from the kids and my life's busy and I've just fucking moved into a massive house. I've never had a house this big. So I'm cleaning, I'm managing, I'm fucking sorting, I'm trying to find my space, that I'm further away from some friends and closer to others, and then and then COVID happens. So, 2020, lockdown, all the lockdowns were so fucked up because it doesn't deal with isolation. And so then that's when it ramped up all of this fucking negative bullshit in his head. And, I'm good with people who can challenge thoughts and all that sort of stuff, but it got to the point it was so toxic that he just wouldn't let up. So you know how you said you've managed to get past that point where you can just give in? We're going to just accept things for what they are. He couldn't. And it was psychological shit. So, but it was funny. It was like, the first lockdown, I was like, I've got to do the best for what I think is right for the kids. I'm managing part-time 3 or 4 days a week. I've got year 11 and year 12 classes. One of my classes was 26 kids. Can you imagine 26 kids trying to teach them accounting online? So his job's flexible. He's a salesperson. I'm like, here's my timetable, mate. Sort it out. My timetable does not change. This is constant. I decided that because we didn't know how bad COVID was a traditional croup kid. So I was terrified that someone breathed on him wrong and we'd be back in hospital again, worried about whether he was going to be able to live the next day. And I had to keep turning the wheel to get him to convince him, let's make the right decision here. So we stopped sending him to childcare for a little while. It was good because, financially, the government was great with going, you can still keep your place and you don't have to worry about the financial aspect. But I've got 2 kids at home that I'm looking after at the same time as up to 26 kids in a room right in front of me. Those kids of that year still remember that. They still laugh because I'm fucking making chalk paint whilst teaching accounting concepts, and trying to get my kids to fucking do shit, keep busy whilst I've got him in the other room, self-servingly doing what he needs to do, not necessarily thinking about the impact on me. So start to see this shift again of just him trying to go, well, this is me, I've got to do my thing, but what about, just wasn't considerate, And that got sort of bad to worse for a point and then settled for a while because then we started sending the kids back to childcare. So they had some breathing space.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
You're explaining all these tense situations, right? What did it actually evolve to? Was it shouting matches? Was it just...
Oh, fuck yeah. So...
This is what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. So there
because you've...
So 2015, I'd say probably about 2014 to probably about 2016, 17, mate, I was the fucking shouting match of the century, right? But then all of a sudden, and I don't think it's the kids that did it to me, I have a feeling it was a little bit beforehand. I went, oh, mate, I can't be fucked yelling anymore. Okay,
I'll tell you what. This is why I'm trying to figure this out, right? I look at the relationships and friendships and whatever, with people over the last 10 years. And the one thing that I don't have from 2020, let's use COVID, right? The start of COVID to now, the biggest things have happened to me, in my personal life, right? The one thing I don't have are shouting matches. I don't have long-winded arguments that go on till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm just defeated and then I've got to go to work exhausted. Don't have that. Not saying I haven't had disagreements with people. Not saying I haven't had conflict. But none of it. I look back at 2013 to 2019 and it's all I did every other day was just get into these fucking arguments with people. Whether it was completely pedestrian, whether it was entirely my fault, whatever it was, it would just go on and I'd just be spent. I don't have that now.
No. I don't want that now.
That's what I'm trying to understand because so far you've said, it was financially this, it was emotionally that. Yeah, but you've managed to keep going and have kids and do all this.
Yeah.
So what were you actually doing when you say this was a toxic environment? How was it toxic? What were you actually experiencing?
So there was yelling matches. And then...
frequent?
I wouldn't say it was super frequent, but frequent enough to the point that I would be catching up with friends be around, and I always reference her because she's been through everything with that relationship.
There's always one, Yeah,
it's always been her. And she's always seen that tension from the beginning. From the beginning, she's seen that tension. And so, to me, yelling at him became normal for a while. And then eventually, and he'd listen. Eventually he'd listen, but then eventually he'd stopped listening. And so what had happened, even my mum can go back and look at this and go, she goes, especially when you had the kids and that 2017 to 2020 point, she goes, I saw things in you that you didn't see in yourself. You changed. She's like, you'd mellowed down. You weren't biting back. You became silent.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I can't believe your memory.
No.
Memory, but you.
I just remember this just because I remember I said it to you once, 10, 15 years ago. I said it to you, I go, one day I want to get to a point where we're neighbours and I want to wake up on a Saturday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, just go to my sink, to fill a kettle or something.
I remember this.
I want to be half asleep. It's nice and springy sort of weather, and then just hear this, and I just sort of glance at the window across to the next fence line and just see your maniacal little head running around or waving your arms or some shit. And he's like, oh, she's up. And that wasn't even a reference to anyone you were with or anything. It was just you.
So just so you know, my neighbour he did hear. There wasn't that many moments, but they just recently passed away this week, so I'm a bit emotional about that. So, and my Maltese neighbours, ironic that on the left-hand side I end up with Maltese neighbours. Yeah, of all places. Beautiful people. And they were like family to me because their own children were fucking bullshit, right? And they could see that there was aspects and traits of him being a hard worker and a doer, and I think they liked that part of his personality. They didn't necessarily see the other parts. But I know would have been you because he would have heard those moments when he decided when we're in the middle of lockdown, let's pull down a tree so that we can build a cubby house for the kids. And let's do it with no help. Kids being looked after basically on the other side of a fence so that we can literally, I have to pull this fucking rope to get this tree down while he's cutting. I've got on the other side of the fence going, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm having a yelling match going, you are a stupid fucking idiot. Why are we doing this? What planet do you live on? He's like, I just want to get shit done. He's always been like that. Don't worry about the consequences later. Whereas obviously I am the forward planner and thinker going, what can go wrong? You know. But by that point, I think that was the last time I think I really had just made my voice heard. Because eventually I just realised it was too hard. I can't be fucked anymore. I'm not getting anywhere. But that's where my mum goes, that's when you lost your voice. Your voice had gone. But what I think is I'd actually lost my voice earlier on because I was shouting, but not really necessarily being heard. Really, truly being heard. Because if I was truly being heard, the year I got married, we probably would have pushed things out and gone, let's just get her health right and then be able to make the most of the day when we're feeling at our best. Yeah, that's one example. Moving to, yes, I was in part of that decision. We signed on the house, But the way we did it, if he'd truly listened to me, because I kept, even in front of his parents, I was like, you guys are fucking nuts. Can you actually just listen to me and realise how much stress you're putting on me, the kids, everybody else, yourselves? Like, I'm actually fucking thinking about you. You're not thinking about yourself. I'm fucking having to do it for you. So there's that scenario too where I go, yeah, I know I lost my voice there as well. And then, yeah, it just got worse over time. Okay,
so up until this point, we're talking like 2000, was it yelling matches and shit back in 2009 to 14?
Yeah, yes,
really?
Always, yeah. Or there was always something. Like, even I remember when his grandfather died, we were at Crown and we're having some bullshit argument in front of his cousin and there too. And we get the phone call saying Nornal's passed on. I just went silent, dropped it, didn't matter anymore. I was like, I've got to be here for you.
Yeah, it's now your
I've just lost, a significant person in their life. I'd only known him for a few months at that stage. I went to the funeral. I met all the family. Yeah, because he introduced me to his mum and dad quite quickly, actually, and I was like the first serious girlfriend I think, he brought home. And, yeah, I think those situations just there was always something that kind of pushed us into dropping whatever that bullshit is that we were arguing about. There was always something that just would end up dissipating and going away.
But they were actual yelling matches, even that early. I wouldn't
say till 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, but
there was definitely moments, like even moving out of my parents' house, I remember not necessarily demonstrating the best behaviour because I was going through a lot of pain and, a lot of frustration about the way he wanted to do things. Like, he'd always be like, I'll just fucking move this and don't worry about packing it right and all this sort of shit. He's like, dump it in, worry about it later. It's like, dude, everything's worth money. So look after the shit that you have. He just moved house, actually. He moved out into a place in... I'm like, take most of it. Just, we've agreed, even though we're going through consent orders and lawyers and shit, we've actually sat down and just, in the house, gone, you can have that. You can have that. I don't need that right now. You can have that. That's what I want, But have I given things that I didn't necessarily want to give? Fucking 100%. But I'm like, what's the point of creating animosity with him when I know he can let that out on the kids? There's no fucking point. Even though it's not directly, indirectly, they're gonna feel that because they feel my tension. They feel when I'm stressed. I don't necessarily talk about their father in front of them negatively. I never will. But they definitely see when I'm stressed and they feed off that stress.
That's what I try and tell mates that are still stuck in shitty relationships. And it's like, it's to the kids. It's like, mate, I grew up in a house where my parents should have fucking separated well earlier and they stayed together because of the kids.
Yeah, that's
it did nothing but negative damage to us, man. Like, we feed off everything, all the negative energy.
Correct. That's right.
Okay, so then what's a combination then? Like, so 2020, you're dealing with this, 2021.
2021, so what, 6th lockdown by this stage?
Yep.
I'm the one going out to work on occasion because I'm the one with the year 11, 12 subjects, wherever all the other teachers get to sit at home, look after whoever and their families and all their lives sitting there in their warm fucking jackets and their, da-da-da. And I'm like sitting there driving through this fucking dust of cloud and fucking mist.
You get no sympathy from me, dude. I had to work.
No, we were the same. No, I
had to work every day while everyone else worked at home.
That's
okay?
It was weird though, wasn't it?
That was shit. I'd be in an office in a warehouse by myself.
Yeah, and my dad was the same.
And just and there'd be one other guy, my boss, up on the top floor in his office because that's it.
And my dad and I would send each other photos, because obviously there's no cops around. So I'd send a photo of fucking what the road looked like that day. And, what's it, like, he'd send me the photos of the city, like, completely barren, like he's in and out and, it's just fucking nothing. So, that point of our lives did everything to our psychology, when no one was unaffected. You can't tell me that you weren't affected in some way. Fucking everyone was. And I think for him, it just got from bad to worse. And, his internalization of shit just got bad. And obviously what we started to see at 2021 is moments and glimpses of, freedom. So he wants to go to his soccer every week. I'm like, yeah, fine, just fucking go. Yeah, there's some moments, some nights I'm like, dude, I've just fucking had a full day of work. Yes, he was great with the cooking and stuff like that, and I dealt with everything else. But my grandma, well, not grandma, but I called her my grandma because she was the only one I had here in Australia that was like a grandma. So she's my great auntie, my mum's auntie. And she's known me since birth. Every significant birthday occasion, we were always together. She dies. And that was May 2021. Like one of the most significant people in my life, besides her sister, my physical grandma in Malta, and my parents, dies. Can I go to soccer tonight? Why are you even asking me that question? Pretty sure from memory he still went. And I remember getting the phone call from my mum in the morning. I'd just gotten to work and I'm, navigating the kids in the morning, trying to get them ready. He was usually really good with that stuff, but even still, I knew I'd seen her in the hospital 2 days before. His mum and dad were at the house with the kids and they're like, she's on a, deathbed basically, go. So I had that support from his parents in that respect and they were willing to push him, into those right kind of things. He's like, if you don't go, you're going to regret it, And I went. And I remember her saying to me, she held my hand, and she goes, I hope you and the kids will be healthy and happy. That's what I want from you for life. And it's like she knew more than I even knew about where things were going to go. And that sticks with me. Like it sticks right here. I feel it in my fucking guts and in my heart. Like that's something she wanted to say to me to carry through the rest of my life. She goes, I know technically they're not my grandchildren, but you still gave me grandchildren first. She wouldn't tell that to all the rest of the grandchildren, but she had that special bond with me, and I'll never, ever forget that from her. So a significant person dies in my life, and he chooses to give him, it's relationships are about give and take. But I get the phone call at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm just about to go into my class, and my mum calls, she's dead. So I've dropped to the floor. The classic theatrical walk, drops to the floor. And my colleagues just go, they're amazing. So one of them's actually come over to with me. She knows my story. She was the daily organizer at the time. And she goes, let's go home. We'll sort out all your classes. Fuck it, don't worry about it. So I go straight to my mum's house. Of course I do. It's her auntie, someone who helped her come to Australia, was like the key motivator to come to Australia. If it wasn't for her, I don't think either of us would be here. So I spent the day there. Kids are in childcare. They were fine. Calling, going, okay, I'm going to be home X, Y, and Z time. I said, no, there's traffic. I said, but I just wanted to spend the most of the day with Mum. She needed me. I needed her. Take her home. I want to go to soccer. Fuck, all right. Whatever, mate. Like, I did fight him to a point. Then I was like, that's the point I realised I really, truly lost my voice. Because if I was heard, understood, respected, appreciated, that wouldn't have even been a question.
Yeah.
Like, I needed affection and attention and support, and you've gone off.
You've mentioned you just, for the first time in nearly 2 hours and whatever, you've mentioned the word affection and support.
Mm.
Did you get that from...
Sometimes.
When you say sometimes, what do you mean?
I don't think I knew enough about myself in terms of the way that affection and support...
What it actually meant.
Like
yeah, what it was.
For me.
I'm guilty of the same thing.
And partially because of the way my parents had their relationship and the way that their work fed into their lives and into their marriage and the way they still talk about that. I wouldn't say I don't think I had a sheltered life, But in some ways, there is elements of that because I didn't necessarily have other good role models or other good examples.
It's not that you had a sheltered life. You still learned how to work hard. You still learned how to value things like la la la. It's what you've. It's a friend of mine said, we're essentially just watered down versions of our parents, right? They're our basis for everything up until 16.
Yeah,
everything. How you brush your hair, how you shit, how you eat. Everything comes from what you learn at home.
Yep.
So, your parents could work hard, but if all you know is shouting matches, then that's the only way you know how to deal with shit until you are actively in a position to see that isn't right. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking you, out of what you want from, like, say, a partner or whatever, did you feel you ever got the attention, support, affection, all that sort of shit from day one through to, like, 2021?
Not the way I'd want it now.
Not the way you want it now. Did you know for yourself that it wasn't what you wanted? You wanted more, something different?
I think that's where, when I go back and look at the dates, think about those key milestones, that's where that fear and anxiety stemmed from. I just didn't see it at that time for what it was.
Like, look, I know couples that aren't touchy-feely, are very blunt, all that sort of shit, right? And they're more like best friends,
And
as
we
opposed...
look to a point where
and
we're
you know
like
what?
that.
And that's fine if both parties are on that same page, but I feel like someone's always compromising or just going without.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
And you're right. There was moments where, like, I like to have my hand held, because I think that's a pride thing. If you're with somebody and, you're going out on a date, hold my hand to show people you're proud of being next to me. And so he never did that. And he's done his own reflection and own work, and we've had that conversation. And he's tried to feed some of that out of me. And some of it I've given in and told him, going, yes, this is something that was important to me that you didn't necessarily give. And other things for my own self-preservation, because I knew in my head once, basically June, July 2021, Queen's birthday happened for me, so we're talking 2 years ago now, pretty much, that if I had given him more of what he wanted to hear to do that self-work and he'd fix it, that he'd find a way to sell himself back to me again, because he's a salesperson. That's what he does. And now I'm sitting there at this point going, mate, your shit stinks. Everybody's does. And you can try and change the facade, but deep down, I think you'll still go back and repeat those patterns again. I don't really think you've really changed. You're putting out this facade that you have changed. And this is where it gets really interesting from the last 2 years onwards, because it's all layers of fucked up. Right.
Okay, so let's move along.
Yep.
So where are we now?
So we're at, grandma,
your aunt, your great aunt,
Yep, 2021. We get to Queen's birthday weekend. My mother-in-law can see I'm stressed. My mum knew too, but she was so far removed. She doesn't drive. She can't come see us. She was really good at shutting my parents out when it was convenient, so I didn't get to see that much of them unless I made the effort to go, which I still did when I could. But then with the restrictions, where the fuck are we going, right?
When you say that, like you've mentioned it, you've said it a bit, he's got really good at being able to pull you away from everyone and keep you apart from everyone.
Yeah.
In what way?
It's not like he's grabbing my phone and going,
No, that's what I mean. I want to understand.
He just always had intentions about who we'd spend our time with, how we'd spend our time, that sort of stuff. And so it was always kind of forward planned. And then there would always be excuses around, I don't want to go to your parents tonight because, fuck, we've got work tomorrow. And now I look at that and laugh because he's trying to get a Sunday back once a month, because I usually get the Sundays, whether it's his weekend or mine, I always get him because he wants it for family time. I'm like, you fucking asshole. Anyway.
Amazing how people change, yeah?
Yeah, all of a sudden, just a click of a finger. And I mean, I want him to have that time with my kids, so you don't fucking use it right. Great, if you're using it right. Obviously, I can't dictate that shit. Once the courts decide you sign the dotted line, see you later. But, June 2021 happens. We were really good at following the rules on the most part. Government said you stay in your fucking 5Ks. We stayed in our 5Ks. His dad's diagnosed with blood cancer, treatable, but still, going through teething problems. So we didn't. I'm still around community. He is to a certain degree when you go out and see customers. Most of the time at home though. But we're conscious. We're anxious. His parents go, let's give a break. This is fucking stressed. You could tell. My body was weathered. I was tired. Pain's coming back in full fucking swing. And I was still going. Because, you know, that's what you do. I know I say that lightly and it's not, but...
It's all right.
I can see that now.
That's fine.
I can see that now. We have a good weekend, you know. We had date night, you know. We went out for food within the 5Ks, went to the beach, had some fucking burger, sat there. He got to do bits of his own thing. I got to do bits of my own thing. I fucking breathe for 5 minutes. Kids come back. This is the thing that just broke me. Kids come back. I'm a bit of the wog mum in the sense that if my kids aren't fucking eating dinner, I'm going to kind of encourage them a bit. Fantastic with food. Fuck, he's great. Love him. Give him all the variety, he'll eat it. On the other hand, she looks at it. She'll assess the food first. If I don't like the way it looks, if it's not presented in the way that I like, I'm not touching that shit.
So she's you.
I knew you'd say that. I knew you would say that.
She's you. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, okay.
Fuck. How did I know that you'd say that? Oh, I've got a great story. You'd be like, fuck, she's you 100%. And I love the fact that you know me well enough.
I still remember that. I'm not going to forget. So,
yeah, so
feeding
Carla,
time,
that was one of the things that I hated. So he hated me feeding her. He hated that sort of stuff. And, you know, as parents, usually you have kind of, you know, certain boundaries and things that you go, this is okay and this is not. I was pushing them because I'm like, fuck, they've just had a great weekend with no, spending quality time, that's great. But I'm sitting there going, if this kid doesn't get fed right, she's going to have a fucking shit sleep. It's going to affect everybody. And we've all still gone on with our lives the next day. And here's me, I'm always thinking ahead, what's going to impact my kids from having the best experience the next day? Because that's the mum in me. He doesn't think about that stuff. That's me. Me forward planning. If I don't get this fucking nap in today, I used to fucking pump and grind to get those bloody naps in, mate. Because they used to say to me, oh, a certain age, you're going to get 3 naps in, then go down to 2, and then 1, da-da-da. And I knew if they didn't get their nap, they were fucking vile. I was like, I don't want that shit. And the food was part of that. So for me, that was important. So I started feeding her. Starts yelling at me. The verbal abuse comes in really strong, right? And parts of that, I have to go back a little bit, was starting to come through over the course of the 2 years because the students I was teaching were starting to see that behaviour.
What were they seeing?
They were seeing, I'd go to, like, I was doing my lesson fucking, you know, this big barren room that I had with all my shit. And he'd come and give me tea. And I'd move and do something stupid, you know, just not thinking, because I'm fucking working on these kids, not what's going on in my surroundings. Are you fucking idiot? What'd you do that for? In front of the kids. The kids can hear. Those kids still keep in touch with me because they know the verbal abuse that I had experienced. They'd heard it. I could never tell my principal about it. Could never tell much of my colleagues about it. They would have heard he say, she say sort of shit, you know, if the kids were prepared to tell them. To be honest, I don't think they ever did. Maybe one did because she also had a unique relationship with me and another staff member because she was going through a lot of shit at that time, so she was suicidal. And I didn't have support from the school. Psychologist wasn't really supportive. So that was another layer of impact on my relationship because there was Saturday nights where I'd be like checking in with her, going on Teams, making sure she's fucking alive, not slitting her wrists, not doing anything stupid. So he knew I was carrying that too, and he didn't like it because obviously that's impacting on our time. But fuck, we had heaps of time together. And he'd come across and be like, oh, you know, I really love when the kids are at, you know, in school or kinder or whatever, and it's just us two and we get to have some lunch together. It comes across like, oh, yeah, it's genuine. Like, you know, I'm really enjoying this time we have, da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not. This is fucking, I'm hustling here. I don't get a chance to breathe. So I think I was at my penultimate level of tolerance by that point. And again, I'm having this epiphany going, I was really at that layer where I've just, enough's enough. I fucking had it. So yeah, there's these bits of abuse that the kids are seeing. I can't give you exact specifics. A little bit of it's kind of, you know, trauma you put in the back of your head. But doesn't like the fact that I'm feeding. And I kind of go off at him. And he gets, yeah, I'm just going to say it. So I have a glass of water, like tiny glass, probably about, I don't know, fucking that big, maybe. A bit of water in there. I turn around and go, you've got no fucking idea how lucky you are. You have great kids, got a great life, and here's you fucking bitching about this shit. I know I'm part of the problem, right? Gets up. He had time to think. This is the thing that got me. He had time to think. I'd moved away because I was like, fuck this, you're a fucking asshole. What the fuck are you doing? Why do you always have to make everything this big thing when it doesn't suit you? Why can't you see from my perspective, right?
So just to be clear, like the argument started over you feeding your daughter. What was it that he wasn't liking?
The fact that I was actually putting food in her mouth. Because once it started, she was fine and she wanted to sort of, start to feed herself.
How old's your daughter at this point?
3.5.
Okay, so she's still like a toddler.
Yeah,
it's not like
yeah.
she's
3.5.
She's not a
It's around that.
teenager.
Yeah, no.
She's still 3.
Yeah. And
So what was it?
It was a bit to get motivated. Like,
So what is it that you didn't like?
the fact that I was like doing it for her. She couldn't do it for herself.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I wanted to do it for herself. I'm like, yeah, I get that. But if she's sitting there giving me hell about this meal that I know deep down she's going to eat once I get the ball started, like I literally wanted to put 2-3 mouthfuls in there and I knew the rest of it she'd do.
She'll be fine.
She'd be fine. Because I know my kid. I know how to work around her. I know idiosyncrasies, I know her. Didn't like it. So the big brawl starts. We're yelling in front of the kids. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to be yelling in front of the
How
kids.
often did that happen, yelling in front of the kids?
Not too often. I never liked it.
Yeah, okay.
Because I didn't want to set that precedent.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
From the experience that I'd had, which was frequent, So he gets up. So say, I don't know, distance between you, where you are now, probably where that table is.
Okay, so you're
There's
looking
a fair
about
time to consider the decision you want to make.
Yeah, you're looking at about 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 meters.
Yeah.
Maybe just under 5 meters.
Yeah, you got time to think, right?
Yeah.
Gets up, walks towards me, hits me. That, for me, crushed me. Because I was like, at no point prior to this had you ever been physically abusive.
Ever.
So I'm like, where the fuck's this come from? But then I lost my shit. To the point where I'm so not proud of the person I was in front of the kids. And I'm sure my poor Maltese neighbours, if they were home, would have heard that day. And he goes silent. Kids due to go to bed. So I think we'd done things in the reverse that day. It was like bath, shower, then food, then bed. Which usually it's the other way around. It's food, shower, bed, or, bath, bed, whatever. He goes in to sleep in the room, because sometimes we have to do that, and goes, I'll put her to sleep. I didn't even want to engage with him by this point. I was like, I can't even. So I go to bed, crying myself to sleep. Wake up the next day. That 3 months is blurry. I don't know how I survived it, because all of a sudden I'm just like, my safety is compromised. What if this happens again?
Did you, at any point, had you ever thought it was ever going to boil over to physical violence?
No.
Never?
I should have, because there's enough warning signs in the way his macho-ness and the fucking Italian background and the verbal, the rile-up that comes into his body. And, he was working out at some points and others not. So, he was fairly built in, some ways. What I think killed me was the fact that he goes, that didn't even hurt you that bad. You fucking dumbass.